Swifty, glad you could join us. Sit back, sit tight, relax and get comfortable. Enjoy the ride. Michael J, aka Swifty, glad you could join us. Sit back, sit tight, relax and get comfortable. Michael J. Hello, you wild and crazy guys and gals. Good morning. Michael J here with you today. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off with a couple videos. And I want to go over, number one of the super ships, and we're talking battleship, and in particular, the Japanese battleship Satsuma, which is the, I guess the end game's supposed to be, this is going to be tier 11. So, from what I gather, hopefully we're coming through in the mix here okay. If there's any sound issues, let me know, please. But here's the deal. I don't know why they just don't come right out and say the eventual end game here is to have a tier 11. But anyways, at this juncture, we've got super ships, which are now not just battleships, but cruisers as well. And we'll look at another cruiser very shortly after this. But let's look at the Satsuma, which is the Japanese battleship, and take it from there. Any questions, comments, let me know in chat. And otherwise, as a standard procedure around here, remember, Bob's your uncle. With love and peace to everyone in this world, Michael J. So let's go to the main screen now.
So super ships are now in random battles, and the one that's most surprised me is the Satsuma. This is a ship that I thought was just worse than the Hanover in previous iterations of these game modes, and that really comes down to there being less people. Ranked battles has just less people than randoms, and since we're on the live server, regular random battles, people play a lot more passive than they do on test servers and even, you know, ranked battles that is now the live testing environment, let's be honest. So having a long-range sniper that's better over distance compared to something like the Hanover is actually really strong. And I've been having a lot of really good games in the Satsuma, so much so that it makes me want to play my Shikishima again, because these 510mm guns just hit so hard. We're just consistently getting these 20k salvos into this Freddy here, and this Brindisi is about to find out that, well, 2 salvos is more than enough to kill him. Of course, this ship's special gimmick is the 35% dispersion buff you get once you have, 3 accurate enough salvos. Then you can push F or whatever keybind you've, bound it to, and you get 35% better dispersion. So when a cruiser goes broadside, it's probably the time you want to use it. And we already have 63,000 damage. And now we're at 87,000. So, Brindisi, welcome to your first maybe couple games in Tier 9, and you get to play against a Satsuma. Certainly not the most enjoyable experience for anyone playing their Tier 9s. I hate to imagine what some of these stock tier 9 ships would be like these days. For example, the Seattle. That's going to be a rough experience if you're stock and you're fighting against some of these super ships. It's I'm not a huge fan, let's just say that, of super ships coming into random battles. It just makes the game even more passive. As you go up the tiers, the ranges get longer, the DPM gets much more, and there's just more spotting at those longer ranges. Your concealment generally isn't as good on these bigger ships, which makes sense. But the result of that is all of this damage comes in at much longer distances. And I think that results in more blowouts and much more passive games. The last few times I've streamed this game, most of the matches, nobody's really decided to push in, trying to play the objective. This game, we get a team that wants to push in on our flank, which is really, really, really nice. Part of that might be down to the massive amount of damage we've already done. You can see we haven't even actually crossed the 5-minute mark in this game. So 100k in 4 minutes, and that's including some of the travel time. That pretty much wiped out everyone that game, and the rest of it was pretty boring. So we'll move on to a couple good salvos I had in this one. But this is a great example where the entire enemy team just decides to play passive, right? The A flank on the enemy team is their weak flank, so understandably they're kiting. Our team is pushing there, but you would think then that they would be pushing at C here and trying to play aggressively, get some good ground, get some cap control. And that's just not what happened this game. And I've been on both sides of this, and it's frustrating on both ways. It really is. It just results in these games that are blowouts. One team gets all the caps, ticks up on points, or the enemy team then decides to throw a lot of their ships away. As you can see, that dispersion upgrade is very, very, very nice. Even on something like an Alaska that has a very underwater citadel, or at least waterline, I should say. It's waterline, but it's very hard to citadel an Alaska. Yoshino, though, broadside Yoshino is very vulnerable, so using our boost here to get a big hit off on him is definitely worth it. And these are 20-kilometer shots. The nice thing about the 510mm guns, of course, is they hold their velocity. They're really big shells. They're going to hold that velocity over long ranges. So they're really not too difficult to lead. Of course, we get a little lucky with people just wanting to sit broadside. But because these guns are so huge, you're going to get a lot of overpens. And it results in okay damage, but it really feels kind of unfortunate against some of these cruisers when they go flat broadside. So, you know, full pen, he turns in. That's a smart play by the Rune. But he's going to turn out, and the Satsuma actually has a good enough reload to just barely catch a lot of these cruisers as they try and turn in. But yeah, that's the main reason I don't like super ships being added to the game. They just make the game even more passive through their longer range, higher damage output. And all of them are like this. The Conda, the Annapolis, the Hanover to some extent, they just force people to play farther back at longer ranges. And personally, I just don't find that as much fun. And the thought then would be, oh, just go play at lower tiers. Well, that's a whole nother problem for a different video, but let's just say it's not fun being bottom tier in a lot of these games. So that's why I constantly want to play top tier. And there's a reason that being bottom tier is so frustrating. I think it comes down to wanting to encourage people to continue grinding, to continue paying for premium time, to get that next tier premium ship because they don't want to be that bottom tier player. I think it's designed to frustrate you into spending money. So yeah, I'll admit it. I get frustrated when I'm bottom tier. So that's why I want to play top tier. And top tier is now getting a little bit boring with these super ships. And that's why I don't enjoy their addition to the game. There's some really cool things. I think the idea of these situational upgrades that you kind of earn these buffs by having some accurate salvos, and then you get to time when you want your accuracy, let's say on the Satsuma, right? We can nuke a destroyer just like that. And it's kind of nice having these kind of situational upgrades, buffs you need to play around. I think that's such an interesting, unique idea, and I wish they'd added it to some of the more standard tech tree ships rather than adding a whole nother tier on top of tier 10. I'm very, very nervous what the Super CVs are going to look like. I think a lot of you have probably seen those, and if you haven't, well, let's just say jets are coming back into World of Warships. So even quicker spotting for this long range damage to impact the game. So I think this is just an unfortunate situation where we're not going to see the kind of older playstyle where people wanted to play a little bit closer and wanted to push in more. And that's a result of everything I've been talking about, but also the player base is just getting better. I think it's funny, I guess, to talk about the player base being bad and worse than it's ever been. But honestly, people play much better now than they did 5 years ago. And you can really see it in people kiting away, trying to stay angled. Like this Iowa, for example. He's against a ship 2 tiers higher than him. And he, apart from the initial mistake of going broadside, where he got lucky to not get dev struck, he's played really well, kiting us away, trying to mitigate damage by being angled. Of course, Overmatch is incredibly fun to play against. But people are playing a lot better. Cruisers tend to stay angled more, use islands better. You see a lot of people playing their cruisers stern in rather than
is that a valid? Am I getting better or what? Oh crap! I still have crap games.
Better with their HP pools and spotting and torping lanes, that kind of thing. I think overall people have gotten better. And if you disagree, I would encourage you to go back and watch some of those really old videos from some of the original content creators.
Some of the old stuff, eh?
What I mean, things have improved, and because of that, people are playing at longer ranges because it's more effective and efficient.
Well, what do you guys think? Do you buy into that or what?
Your ship as much. So it's unfortunate. Satsuma is actually a really good ship, and I've had a lot of fun playing it. But it's unfortunate that now tier 9 and tier 10s are going to be pulled up into some of these games and are going to be forced to play at even longer ranges. So your brawling battleships, I don't know how good those are going to be anymore. Your light cruisers in these open water maps, they're going to be really tough to play. This one ended up being a loss, but we got 260k. Some of the other ones were less damage, but we got some wins. So for the build on the Satsuma, I'm actually running just the normal Yamato commander that I'm always running. You're wanting to grease the gears, and other than that, it's just standard battleship. Kind of boring, but it's just the best way to play these ships. Secondaries could be interesting, but you don't get the improved accuracy. And let's be honest, the cheek is not the best in close range dealing with that. So I don't think Secondaries is really going to work on this ship, even though it could be interesting with some of these 203s. I just don't think it's going to work particularly well, given all the passive nature that I've already discussed at length in this video. As far as the upgrades, I think this is also pretty standard stuff. If you're wondering, cheek, of course, is the infamous weak point on these ships. And it just means that the Citadel is angled like this, and it means it's very easy to hit at an angle about like this by any battleship. And if you overmatch 32 millimeters, yeah, it's just, you're gonna punch through it, Citadel. This thing, it's about as much of an RNG fight as you can get, especially at closer ranges. But Satsuma's a great ship, and much better than it was in these lower player count, more brawly game modes like ranked and on the PTS. So I think Satsuma is definitely really, really fun to play. I just don't like what super ships bring to the overall meta of the game. Well, let me know.
Holy crap. Anyways, I'm having an issue with chat. Yeah. Chat's just not friggin' coming up. Like, what's going on here? Always friggin' something. And it's Sunday morning. Oh my. What are we gonna do? Well, we can't do friggin' diddly squat about that. We can cry in our pretzels, but then again, it's Sunday morning, and who wants tears in their Cheerios, right? You want tears in your Cheerios? Abso-friggin-lutely not. Okay, so now we looked at the Satsuma. Now we're going to look at the Conde. Some people call it the Conde, and I call it the Conde, monsieur. It's a French friggin' ship. You can call it whatever you want. I'll call it the Conde because there needs to be a little je ne sais quoi, don't you think? And of course you understand what je ne sais quoi is, eh? Kind of like that little magic, like pixel dust, fairy dust. Does that make any sense? Does that resonate with some of you? Some of you get it, some of you don't. Some of us get it. It's just like that Almond Joy commercial. Some of us are nuts, some of us aren't. So, without further ado, let's move on to the Conde, monsieur. Enjoy. Enjoy.
The Conde is amazing. It is the ultimate farmer's ship. The
What'd
Henry
I tell
was
you?
great
Conde?
at tier 10, but as far
Conde.
as super ships go,
Hold on. And I'm going to just further pontificate on my point. And that was, what was the last weekend? People calling the British battleship the incomparable, the incomparable. Now, for contextual understanding and paraphrasing, one may use it this way or that way. But either way, from the original contextual understanding and use of the word, going back to the days of the conquest and the conqueror, incomparable, sir. Incomparable. So back to the video, and I'll let that go for now.
nothing really compares to the Conde and its ability to pump out damage at an insane rate. This game has some of the highest damage output I've ever had for the amount of time we were playing. So our first salvos are going out around the 18-minute mark. And 5 minutes from now, we're going to be up over 200,000 damage. Just to spoil a little bit, it's insane. And the biggest reason for that is that this ship not only has good DPM, its alpha strike and ability to dev strike cruisers is basically unmatched. The improved dispersion and burst salvo that you get with this thing, it's just OP. I'm gonna like look at this. It's a little bit overtuned, I would say. This man died before the second salvo even got there. So yeah, 71,000 damage, that's a pretty good start. But of course, we also have the incredible HE. You get one more gun per turret than Henry does, and you still retain decent acceleration. So not only do you get the incredible gun power and better gun power than the Henry, you retain the old Henry, pre-nerf Henry, his ability to basically dodge shells. So we're really not too afraid of these battleships for the most part. We're going to see later on I do get caught a little bit. The black hole armor doesn't always hold up, but 8,000 HE damage? That's just the raw damage. We only had 7 shells. That's pretty insane, I gotta say. So pretty standard Henry game, which, you know, the playstyle remains pretty similar, where you're wanting to play at range, you're wanting people to push into you, you're playing this angled, kited away position, and then you're going to use your speed boost to just...
Okay. While he's talking speed boost and other points of interest here, I'm going to make another espresso, and I'll be right back, folks.
slowly move back and forth and dodge most of the enemy salvos. You're going to notice I'm pretty bad at aiming at long range. I don't really play Henry all that much anymore. So it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. This is my actually first Conde game in a very long time, and in random battles especially. But the damage output, well, 4 minutes game time, we're already on 100k damage. And since we started shooting, that's what, 2 minutes ago? Of course the dev strike helps. Of course the dev strike helps. But this ship is nuts, and certainly contributes to the passive nature that these super ships are bringing to the game. Why would you push into this? No one normal would push into this. Anybody thinking about, is this going to be the most efficient way to use my ship, is going to push into this. A strategy you should definitely be using if you're playing the Conda is that when you decide to pop, wow, look at that HE damage. When you decide to pop your special ability of this burst salvo, you get an insanely long reload, right? Well, save your reload booster. You can see it has a pretty quick cooldown. Save your reload booster for those moments, and you can get back to your standard single fire DPM pretty quickly. And I found that this is one of the more efficient ways to play it. This reload booster, of course, is incredibly useful on the single fire as well, if you're just looking to get fires, but I really enjoy using it on this burst fire mode that gives you not only 2 salvos in burst really quickly that you can save for a damage con or save for a broadside cruiser. It also gives you improved dispersion on top of the 2 salvo burst, and that dispersion really comes in clutch when you're trying to relight fires on someone or, well, dev strike cruisers. And that's going to be the first 3 or so minutes of us shooting. And the enemy team has been pushed back with good reason, I think. These guys are not pushing in here. So we're going to skip ahead just a minute or so onto the 13-minute mark, as you can see. If we can get 200k before the clock hits 13, that'll be 5 minutes of firing for 200,000 damage. And look who went broadside. Yep, 5 minutes of firing, 200,000 damage. So not quite 5 minutes in game time. But still, 5 minutes of shooting, and we've got ourselves 200,000 damage. That's just insane. Insane. Of course, not every game looks like this. Most of the time, people aren't going to push in and go broadside to you. They're usually not going to let their battleships get lit on fire a whole bunch. We actually end up not having a witherer yet, so we're not even relying too heavily on fires for this damage. It is just straight up raw alpha damage coming out of this thing. And we're certainly not done yet. However, we don't have our speed boost. And this really comes back to bite us, as there's a lot of ships with overmatch. Yeah, that hurts. That hurts a lot. And that's the problem with Henry now, even with its speed boost. You're not going to be dodging stuff like that particularly easily, whereas Conda retains some of its ability to accelerate, and combined with speed boost, then it gets a pretty decent acceleration, enough to dodge most battleship salvos at reasonable ranges. But we didn't have speed boost up. I got too greedy and I stayed too long, and I, well, paid the price for it. At least we didn't lose all of our HP for it. I think the most difficult thing to manage in the Conda is your consumables of your reload booster specifically, and using that burst salvo. When to use them together, when to use them separately. I'd say you probably don't want to use them separately. You probably want to go together on them, since that burst salvo takes so long to reload. It's like 40 seconds or something like that. It's a long time. Whereas the normal reload, the standard DPM of this ship, I think you tend to want to use that to light more normal fires on ships and then wait for them to damage control. That would be my more standard advice. So there's Georgia, for example. Well, 10,000 damage from a single normal HE salvo. That's pretty nuts. And we get a double fire, of course, as well. And this is where we're going to wait for him to use his damage control. And there it goes. So now is when we want to wait out that damage control. American battleships, it's 20 seconds, maybe longer, depending on if he's taken specific upgrades in his first slot. But we switch over to our burst fire and wait until we think that immunity period will be over. And unfortunately, I don't actually aim this properly. Henry and Conda shells need to be led more than I think. But we do get that follow-up fire, and had we actually done a better job of aiming, maybe we would have had a double fire or at least more damage. You can see I used my reload booster to dramatically cut down on that massive reload of 40 seconds, and we're available to shoot again. That's the really true power of this burst fire and the reload boost in combination. This time we don't get it, and along with our AR, it's only a 35 or so second reload left, and we don't actually get the kill quite yet, but we got a couple fires burning on this Georgia. There's our wither and our next kill. This ship is really strong, but learning how to use those in combination is going to be the skill ceiling part of this ship. Now, unfortunately, I do have to bring up a problem with this ship. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. We just shot a single salvo at this Prince Ruprecht. And take a look at our reload. Yes, it went on the burst salvo reload when we only did a single shot. And that's pretty frustrating when you're trying to, I don't know about win a game, but trying to maybe get to 300,000 damage in this game. Yeah, pretty disappointing that there's some bugs in these super ships yet. I feel like they've gone through like probably a year of testing before coming into public test servers. Like, these ships have been around a long time and these bugs are still here.
Yeah, hold on a second. These bugs are still here? Like bugs in the regular gameplay are there. And that's what's irritating. And this is where they've let things friggin' slide. And everybody should be mentioning that. But you got so many, you mentioned he mentions the player base getting much better. But here's the deal, folks. Player base has become much better. That's great. The fact of the matter is they haven't been around long enough to have anything to relate to as far as expression of an experience, so they don't know the mechanics of the game because they don't have the necessary experience. So if you were in the game before and you know when the ballistics were a certain consistent factor consistently, secondaries, it's what is it, 40 millimeter Bofors, should be consistent across the line. They have not standardized this stuff, and this is why everything's so friggin' funky. But what's even worse is the friggin' shooting. You know, if you're shooting at a certain thing, it should be, your aim should hit a certain thing. You shouldn't have to overcompensate or undercompensate to hope you get where you want it to be. Like, do you understand where I'm coming from? I hope you do. Let's move back to the video now.
Pretty disappointing that that's the state of World of Warships these days. So, unfortunately, no 300K
that is the
and
state
no win.
These
but
days.
A ton of damage, especially on that front load of 5 minutes of shooting our guns and 200,000 damage. And of course, well, if you find a DD, I just had to put this clip in here. That's just nuts. As far as the build on this ship goes, I'm just using my Henry Captain. This is what I've got at the moment. You could definitely look at not running concealment and trying to maximize this top grade gunner buff, but I just find it not quite comfortable enough to give up all that concealment. It's a little bit rough, so I enjoy playing with just a little bit of concealment on both the Captain and the upgrade modules, but we're definitely running as much reload as we can.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I had a con day in, what was it, was it a ranked battle? Or maybe it was a random battle. Might have been, anyways, might have been ranked, I'm not sure. But I was in the Puerto Rico, and I literally, I don't know what this guy was thinking, how he even got this ship, because he was playing like, whoa, maybe he was half hammered. He shouldn't have been playing. It's just like, don't drink and drive, folks. So I let off, I got a chance to let off a salvo and just hammered the crap out of him. Nearly took him down maybe in one shot. So I just thought I'd throw that at you.
And of course, accuracy as well. The Conda is a ton of fun, and when you're renting these super ships, definitely give this ship a go. It's hilarious with its burst fire. But that's...
Oh, yeah. I actually have, what was it, late last night, I was following the protests in Toronto and broadcasting that. So after that, and before retiring, I went online, just played a little game. And then I figured, well, I forgot about the armory. So I got all these super ship tokens, haven't used them. And, you know, that's another gimmick to get them. And you have to buy these bundles, and hopefully you get the ships to play with. So I've pretty much ignored it from day one because, I'm just not into gimmicks. But anyways, I just threw another friggin' roll of the dice, and this time for the tokens, I got some ships. So we'll make sure we'll give one of these guys or a few of these guys a shot today so you can see in-game what these super ships are like. So what we're going to do now is move to a very much a staple of the game. And I really think this caters to and within reach of the newer players of the game because it's a tier 8. But mind you, it is a premium. And I think, and this is where, you know, it's a free-to-play game, but, you know, you got to invest some dough in it. Because it's the only way you're going to maximize your experience. It's simple as that. And so people say, it's free to play. They go for the people. And, you know, the wallet warriors should get preferential treatment because of them, you're able to have a free-to-play game for other people. And it allows them the opportunity to see if this is something they want to invest in and do in their leisure time. Simple as that. Like just common sense. I keep it simple. Love and peace, folks. Love and peace to everyone. And just enjoy. Don't get emotionally hung up on this crap. Let's move to the main screen now.
Said in the past that the Massachusetts is my favorite ship in this game.
And his favorite.
I haven't played it recently. It's been
he
months,
has
honestly,
a favorite?
and I decided to play it again and got this one game. And, well, I need to play it
It is
more.
a good ship.
That's what I've discovered is I need to play the ship more because it's really, really good, even in these kind of tier 10 matches. Something you should know about, though, is I have a second channel. I started it back in summer, and I haven't done anything with it really since then. But I really would like to post just straight highlights from my live streams, where it's just live commentary. There's nothing really mass production about it. There's no post commentary. It's just what I'm thinking, what I'm saying in the moment. So if you're looking for more longer form games where I'm not cutting out the boring parts and you want to hear my reactions to the game live, that kind of thing, perhaps some conversations I'm having with the Twitch chat, go check it out. I've got a linked in the description down below. On to the Massachusetts, though, this ship really does struggle at range. And being against tier 10s that have a lot of range makes it a little bit rough. The other problem with being a tier 8 in a tier 10 game, of course, is that it's a lot harder to have a large battle impact because your ship just wasn't meant to fight tier 10s all the time. So having a large battle impact really relies on positioning and getting yourself into positions where you can maximize the strengths of your ship. So a Massachusetts needs to get close. You got slow, floaty shells that have very little range. You have great secondaries, and of course, the bread and butter of the premium American secondary battleships is that fast cooldown heal. Having a 40-second heal is awesome, and a ship like Massachusetts can really benefit from that when it's, say, trying to bow tank or trying to run away, that kind of thing. Having that quick access to more HP comes in clutch when you're trying to, well, try and play at close range is really the thing. So, as I say, it's poor at long range. We get a double Citadel. That is all RNG, guys. It's not something that you're going to get consistently, especially against a Vladivostok that has quite a thick armor belt there. So, pretty lucky salvo there for sure, but hey, we'll take it, right? The Massachusetts secondaries, of course, have been nerfed quite heavily since the secondary rework, and that's really unfortunate. The accuracy, of course, that it can get at its maximum potential is still the same, but the old Massachusetts got that secondary accuracy right away. You didn't have to wait that 40 seconds, so maybe that's another reason I haven't been playing it as much since it got nerfed. But as always, the fast swap to HE is incredibly valuable on these American battleships. The special commanders, if you didn't know, give you a upgraded gun feeder that gives you 75% reduction to shell swap time instead of just 50. That's how we're swapping from AP to HE so quick. and are able to hit a DD for actually a decent amount of damage. You're noticing I'm playing quite passive here, and that's something I really struggle to do, especially when there's a cyclone coming. I get so excited about the brawl and the close range fights that are going to happen that I often try and force them too soon. And this one I managed to stay at the back long enough for the cyclone to actually kick in before I decide to push. It also helped we didn't have a lot of information on this flank, and that there's 2 Shimikazes, so you're kind of forced to play at the back unless you want to die instantly to a Shimikaze crossfire torpedoes. That's pretty scary stuff. Also, it helps our team is winning the A flank, so I don't really feel the need to push here. Unfortunately, we don't quite finish off the Richelieu. However, Summers gets some lucky torps in on the Shimikaze. Well, I shouldn't say lucky. He probably was trying to torp the Shimikaze based on RPF or something, but hitting a DD is a bit of RNG given torpedo spreads, right? Prince Ruprecht coming out broadside. We actually had a huge hit on this guy earlier in the match. I was pretty surprised by how much we were able to do to this guy. And now that he's broadside, we should be able to do decent damage again. Yeah. Massachusetts, of course, has North Carolina guns. They just aren't as accurate. They don't have the Sigma, but in the replace of 2.0 Sigma going down to 1.7 Sigma, I believe, it's a pretty big drop in the Sigma, which is basically how often your shells are going to go towards the center of your aiming, your dispersion circle, your dispersion of ellipse. So it's not good. You want big Sigma numbers. That's why Yamato has 2.1 Sigma, that kind of thing. Accurate ships have better Sigma. Massachusetts has bad Sigma, but your minimum dispersion ellipse, so that's the absolute tightest the dispersion can be, is actually better than the North Carolina. So that's how you get some of those crazy accurate salvos out of a Massachusetts, even though it really shouldn't be getting those. So there is a bit of a trade-off there. You would certainly prefer to have North Carolina dispersion, but it's not all bad with the Massachusetts. And of course, you're getting such a tanky ship in return. This ship is much smaller than the NC and appears to have better armor, but in reality, it's down to the maneuverability, in my opinion, and the fast cooldown heal that makes this ship feel like it's a little bit tankier. I think having the extra torpedo protection is also a really, really, really nice benefit. And even though the secondaries, I say, have been nerfed, they're still incredibly useful. They light fires all the time, and against lighter armor targets, they do really, really solid damage. They're just not the all-powerful German battlecruiser secondaries, right? Those ones have this exact same dispersion, but can pen battleship hull at 32 millimeters. So they're not quite that powerful, but your ship is much better, in my opinion. You've got better armor, better main guns, and you've got just a better heal. The heal is just so valuable on this ship, and one of the reasons that I really enjoy it. We've got ourselves into a bit of a problem situation here. There's a Richelieu coming up on our broadside, and even though the Richelieu doesn't have the best accuracy out of its main guns, it more than makes up for it in the pen. So we're
in other words,
in a
we're in a
spot
bit
here
of a
showing this
pickle.
much side. However, he doesn't aim under our turrets, and we get away with one. Certainly get a little bit lucky here, but most games have a bit of luck in them when you get a really, really good one. We're already up to 120k damage in this tier 10 game, and our team's basically won. I think that's safe to say at this point, given the enemy team's positioning. We just need to hold out and survive here. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, and quite a few times throughout this video, the heal lets you survive so many of these situations. We're focusing down the Richelieu since he's lower HP than the Vladivostok, and he's easier to do damage to. Russian battleships have an entirely smaller superstructure than most other battleships in the game, so it's really difficult to do damage to them when they're bow on. Richelieu, of course, does not. It has a massive superstructure, so that's what we're aiming up into. As well, the carrier is getting some really good drops on the Vladivostok, so we had some pretty good help in this one. We didn't win a 1v2. This was definitely a fair or even unfair fight for these two battleships pushing in, now that we have a key for support. And this key is going to come in clutch in the next couple of minutes here, but for now, our carrier finishes off the Vladivostok. I'm sure he had a great time with that crossfire that was set up. Yeah, I'm sure he had fun with that. And then, of course, the Richelieu is left on low HP against two ships. That's really not going to go so well. And you notice we still have a lot of HP left. And that's the beauty of the Massachusetts. You lose health. You're not like a Russian battleship where you just tank through things, but you just gain the health back so quickly thanks to this heal. I really am enjoying Massachusetts, and it's a ship I really, really need to play more because it's always been my favorite ship in the game since it released. I loved this thing when it released, and playing this match really reminded me why I liked it so much. So if you've got it, definitely give it a shot. It's still really, really solid. And of course, if you can wait for Black Friday, it should be back again in its Massachusetts B format. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. I really, really think this thing's awesome. And here, the key coming in clutch for the Bourgogne. Bourgogne's an incredibly scary ship to fight against, and the key kind of just nuked his health pool with his torpedoes. I always seem to forget about the key and his torps, but definitely came in clutch there to finish off this game. We ended up with 172,000 damage. Not the highest damage, but really solid for a tier 10 game where we're definitely at a disadvantage. And even top score with nearly 3k base XP. A solid game in the Massachusetts. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to use Halsey's Confederate bonus, which of course is a beautiful reduction to your reload. So that is one of the best things about these commander changes that came through. Even though we lost some of the secondary power, having the ability to swap some of these special commanders off of your cruisers onto some premium American battleships and still have a battleship build while retaining the cruiser build on the cruiser side of things is such a nice quality of life feature, and it allows me to use Halsey on a lot more ships. But this is the build that I'm running right now. You'll notice I'm taking extra healing instead of extra fire prevention. So that really comes down to positioning. And I think most of the time I'm preferring having an extra heal, at least right now. If you go back and look, you'll notice I swap back and
an
forth.
extra heal
I often
helps.
change my builds on these secondary battleships, trying to maximize my current playstyle. Right now, I find myself generally in situations where I'm not requiring fire prevention, where I'm in a situation where I can disengage. I'll get lit on double fire, maybe even triple fire.
I did that with a few girls. I engaged and disengaged, and they weren't happy about it.
Wait for that damage control to come back. That's how I'm trying to play it, and that's a massive weakness that I'm trying to mitigate through my playstyle. But if you're wanting a general build, probably swap out and go for fire prevention instead if you're not sure on your positioning. So that is going to be the commander, and then of course I'd say the upgrades are pretty standard. Sometimes I do run propulsion mod depending on how I'm feeling, but pretty standard build. The Massachusetts is a ton of fun, and I think is still my favorite ship in this game. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Oh yeah, you're very welcome. So if you want to engage or disengage, better pick the right gal. Oh my. Oh my. So while we're on the topic of tier 10 games, I want to look at the Salem, because this is one of my favorite cruisers, and it can be a tricky ship to play. The Salem can be tricky, but I prefer it over the Des Moines. I love it. I have fun in it. I get blapped in it every once in a while, but a lot of times I have great games as well. But you got to be really careful how you play it. So let's look at this one. Let's see his take on this one. He's a good player, bit of an ego, but, you know, he's been working on it per his own admissions. And we all need to work on it. Doesn't matter who we are. So let's go to the video now.
Game I've ever played. Now that's a bit of a bold thing to say considering my Ohio 409,000 damage game a little while ago. But this game I think I played even better. The result isn't quite as insane, although it is still very, very, very good. I just think the decision making and my specific play in this match was better. It's a little harder to do in a cruiser considering there's a lot more overmatch and some randomness that can happen that really punishes you pretty hard, especially in a ship like the Salem. If you watched my video on this ship, the little 5-minute review I put out this week, you'll know some of the strengths and weaknesses, including that 30mm plating. Of course, this game, we do have to watch out. There is something like a Thunderer on the enemy team, which of course overmatches us everywhere. To start off with though, this is a full game. I'm starting right from spawn because I want to show you the decision making that goes into an incredible game like this. It's very easy to post the highlights and just be like, wow, look at how amazing this is. It's more interesting to me to show how those things happened. And it starts off with our initial positioning. We start in the middle of the map, but we end up going towards the A flank. And that's because C tends to stall out. I think if you've played on this match at tier 10, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a bit of a stalemate where everybody's camping behind islands. And it really comes down to who wins the A-B side of the map and gets those cross shots in, right? It tends to result in a win for whoever wins the A flank. And we have 2 ships out here. So it's very important that we come out to the A flank and try and support this side. It's unlikely we're going to win it outright, but we do need to stall it considering most of our team is going for C. Now, thinking about this before we even engage anyone is important because it determines how we want to play this flank. If we have the majority of our team on the same flank that you're playing, you're going to want to play more aggressive. You're wanting to take more advanced positions and trying to force the engagement with the enemy since you have an advantage. You have more ships likely than the enemy team does. However, if you only have a few ships like we do on this flank, you want to be careful. You want to be cautious. You don't want to take an aggressive position that's going to result in your early death and likely in losing the flank, because holding a flank really does rely on taking very good engagements, safe trades, not giving away 1-for-1 type of HP, right? Where you're trading 1-for-1. That's not what you want to do. So kiting is definitely important. And, well, you're seeing some poor aim here to start with. I hadn't played Salem in a little while, and this was before that Salem review, so I figured I should probably get some experience before talking about it again. But eventually we get our aim down here. This is going to be a dead Des Moines, a very aggressive position to take, and it makes me think they have a lot of ships here, because like I said, when you have a lot of ships on your team on one flank, you want to take aggressive positions. So that's what it makes me think. So that's why I'm not turning in yet. The other thing, the Thunder hasn't shot yet. And turning broadside, turning in when a Thunderer could be shooting you, that's a pretty dangerous thing to do. So the Thunder also pushing makes me think there's more here, even though it's not been spotted. Most of the enemy team actually hasn't been spotted. But just the aggressive plays these guys are making makes me think there's a lot here. And that's why I'm playing so passive. The other thing I'm doing is I'm constantly zooming out with free cam. This is right mouse click if you're using default controls. And it allows you to keep your crosshair on target while getting this zoomed out broad view. A lot of the play of a cruiser, especially in open water, comes down to how aware you are of people shooting at you and reacting to those shots. For now, it's only a Thunderer, but priority target is telling us there's only one person shooting us. Probably still the Thunderer. However, the Thunderer is shooting someone else now, and we were still locked onto. So being aware of these things allows you to play some pretty risky positions, assuming you're able to maneuver and dodge the incoming salvos that you're aware of. This Thunder, of course, getting pushed away, which is really good, but we can't turn in and chase him down and trying to kill him. And that's because there's a Prince Ruprecht coming in. Map awareness is really, really, really important. Even though killing this Thunder would be nice, you can see I'm even tempted to turn in here, but we can't. Pushing into a Prince Ruprecht means death. Those secondaries are just too good. So we're gonna play passive still. But you can see we're already up to 70k damage, and we're doing a decent job of slowing down this flank. Now that more people are spotted, you can see just how outnumbered we really were on this flank to begin with. We had a DC come over as well later on, but we're still a little bit outnumbered, especially now that our Zhao has died, and that's actually behind me. Makes me think that they were definitely focused on that guy instead of me, which is good. You want to take advantage of the enemy team focusing on someone else to get some free, relatively easy damage in. This Prince Ruprecht is probably going to die unless he makes a really aggressive turnout and manages to go undetected. So we're just going to be patient again. We're not going to risk things. We're not going to rush things because at this point, our team is losing a lot of ships. You can see that we have C, but we're down on caps and we're pretty much down on numbers as well. I say down on caps because they're flipping A. There's really not much we can do about it, assuming somebody's in there undetected. Getting a double fire on the Prince Ruprecht, of course, Salem. I talked about this in the Salem review. The DPM is just insane. The fire chance, the fires per minute is also really, really high. So damage output isn't the struggle here. The struggle is maintaining our HP pool and crucially, not taking Citadels. Citadels with the Salem heal are rough. I mean, you have a super heal that suddenly becomes just a regular normal heal and you have one less charge of as soon as you take a Citadel. It's really, really, really brutal. Now that the enemy team seems to be running away, you can see the Hipper turning and deciding to run, it's time to push back in. But we need to play it safe. There's potentially a Donskoy, a Thunderer, and a Des Moines all waiting for us to push back in, and we don't have a lot of help. We have a Jean Bart, but he's going to be a little bit behind us, so it's important we go for the islands. There's a lot of crucial decisions here. The early game really relied on playing passive, saving our HP, taking good trades. And now that we're through that, and we need to play more aggressive given the score and our team being down on ships, it really comes down to playing around islands well. I talk about this a lot when pushing and brawling in a battleship, but the same thing is true in a cruiser. Playing around islands can really help you win a lot of unfavorable engagements. That's what we're going to do. These islands are decent to work with. The important thing is going to be limiting the battleships that are able to shoot at us, specifically the Thunderer. Even going bow on doesn't matter. He's going to overmatch us. So we need to avoid his line of fire altogether. That's the main reason we're going this way. The other thing is if somebody decides to push across to B, or maybe they decide to push through A trying to get some crossfires, well, we're going to be on their broadside. We have a Jean Bart that's going to hopefully take the bow on engagement, and we're just going to get some free broadsides, and it should be some pretty easy damage. These are all the things that I'm considering going in here. The other thing is that I have a radar. It allows me to see ahead behind islands. We're not going to use it yet, but I really am considering using it after I get to the next island in front of me. That's going to let me know where things are ahead and if I should be considering retreating or trying to hide on one of these islands. So that's what I'm waiting for here, but we get spotted popping around this corner. And there's a Des Moines in front of us. Fortunately, the Thunder also gets spotted, so we can keep this island between us. There's also a Donskoy, though, so again, we're going to be in some trouble here if they all decide to shoot at us. They're kind of focused on the Jean Bart, though. And if you saw the Salem review, you'll know what happens here. This was the clip that I used to talk about the annoying parts of Salem versus Des Moines, vice versa, bow on close range engagements. You just load AP and aim for the other guy's turrets. It's kind of a cheesy tactic, but it certainly does work. So we've already temporarily disabled one of the Des Moines turrets, and we're looking to get the other one, or just disable the first one permanently. The lower down turret is a little bit hard to hit, actually, given the way the bow is shaped, but we get probably the rear one again temporarily disabled, so it's only a matter of time now until his rear one is permanently destroyed. The Des Moines decides to swap to the AP now finally to try and combat this, but he took too long. He started using the HE too soon, and, well, we're just way ahead in this turret HP engagement. You can see I'm also looking for the angled bow shot, right? We can Citadel this guy at like 15 degrees. So as soon as he gives us a bit of an angle, we instantly want to go for that Citadel because that damage is so valuable. And there it is. Pretty easy, but it really came down to me getting a little lucky with the turret shots. That's not too good of RNG though. If you knock them both out permanently within the first maybe 5 to 10 salvos, that's really lucky RNG. But what we had, knocking one out after quite a while permanently, that was just okay, I would say. But it certainly worked in our favor. And of course, for some reason, this Donskoy is broadside. So we're just going to take advantage of that. And no dev strike, unfortunately, but Des Moines Salem AP is really, really good. Even though it doesn't have the best pen at long range, as we found out, the improved pen angles certainly help it work a little better. Now, where's the Thunderer? If you're wondering why I popped my radar, that's what I was trying to figure out. The Thunderer was last spotted within my radar range, which is the blue circle, by the way, and we didn't see him. So that means that he's either retreated or he's really gone for a full flank behind me. That's why I decided to push up. I'm worried he's going to be in the G2, G1 squares, trying to push up behind me, while a Bismarck charges me from the front. Fortunately, he's on low enough HP, but I believe that was the Thunderer salvo coming from the right. I just caught a glimpse of that, and I pushed out a little too far and got punished for it. Thunderers are scary. Very, very, very scary. So, reversing, we now know where he is, relatively. We don't know the general direction that he was going in, but that's the important thing. We're going to kill this Bismarck very easily, because again, 27 mil bow, it's really not much of a contest for a Bismarck. It's just not a fight you want to take, so pretty easy kill there, and we don't take a lot of damage. That's our Kraken Unleashed, 200k damage already, and we're still losing. Now, right here is a crucial decision. This is another one where I think I played incredibly well here. And that involves reversing away from the island. We don't know which way the Thunderer is coming from. I can survive a single salvo. Pretty much guaranteed. Assuming he doesn't get a double citadel. I think that given my angle, he'll probably just get full pens into my upper belt. Something like that. And it'll allow me to turn away and get behind island cover. So here he comes. Thunderer came out on the left, which would have been really bad if we had stayed bow in on the island here. We take the salvo. We knew we could tank it. We even preemptively used our heal there to try and save as much HP as possible. And we duck behind the island. This is going to buy our team some time to hopefully allow our team to maybe win the game on the other flank. I've done enough work over here that we should be able to win the other side. But unfortunately, we're going to lose our Columbo. They did trade for the Hipper, though. And I think the Vanguard is going to be a double strike for the enemy team. So, alone versus 3 with very little HP left. You can see we can't heal anything more back from this 24k we have. And the enemy team's on 780 points, 2 caps. And they get a free C cap, assuming their Z46 just goes for the cap. It's very important that I'm waiting here. It's pretty time sensitive that we get out there and try and kill the Thunder and trying to get across to the caps. But we're waiting for our heal to come back to a reasonable amount. Using the radar, we now know where the Thunder is, but it's important we have our heal available for the second Thunderer shot. That's what I'm waiting for. Thunderer has around a 22-second reload, somewhere in there. We're going to take some pain. We take some pain, but our heal is about to come back up, and that's what we need to survive the second Thunderer salvo. That's why I waited, even though the time crunch was on, and I really felt the pressure to get out there and try and kill this guy. And are we going to be able to finish him off in time? We've got our heal ticking. We're on 17,000 HP. And we barely are able to finish him off. That is now 6 kills, but it's 800 points still. We're going to get an A, but do we have enough time to win this? Realistically, all the enemy team has to do is run off the screen. This Z46 runs to J10. He wins. There's nothing I can do. He just wins. So at this point, it comes down to whether the enemy team...
Okay, just give me a second here, folks. I want to do a refresh. I might lose the connection for a second. So I'm going to do a refresh just to try to get chat to come back on, because for some reason, chat's not working. I just don't know why. So just bear with me for a second here, folks.
is going to allow me to win the game or not.
Okay, so I've got chat back up now. It should be working, so chat's working. Any questions, comments, throw in chat. And if there's any issues with the audio or the video, just let me know, please. Thank you, and enjoy.
You might be wondering why that Thunderer missed so badly, and that's down to the aiming system. There's some bugs and issues, to say the least, with the aiming system in World of Warships. One of them, I think you know, is shells landing short. It's a pretty frustrating one. If you're on the receiving end of battleship AP or any shot in general, if you slow down and turn out, the auto aiming system can't handle it. And that's why a lot of times shells land short. They auto corrective aim to try and help you hit more salvos is going to lead and automatically change your aim to try and hit an enemy ship based on their current heading and direction, as if they were not going to change speed or change direction. Even if they're turning, it will not take that into account. That's why slowing down and turning out as a cruiser is an incredibly great tactic that a lot of very, very good players use to try and dodge battleship salvos. There are ways of mitigating this, like aiming for someone to slow down and turn out, but it's a pretty dramatic shift in where you have to aim. It's not a subtle difference, so you have to really think ahead of what the enemy cruiser is going to do to combat that. The other one is the moment you're turning and you switch over from showing your left, in this case, our left broadside to the Thunderer, and we swap over to bow on and then showing our right side of our ship, it's really hard for the aiming system to account for the drift of your ship. And you can see we kind of drifted around his shells as he shot. This really only works at closer range, where it's more likely the enemy is shooting at your hull directly. If their aim point is on the water, it's unlikely this is going to work. But if they're aiming for some point on your hull, well, you're drifting, and the aiming system isn't going to take that into account. That's what I was relying on, trying to save me there. It kind of worked, but we still took a lot of damage. And we're spotted. This is important, because the North Carolina could not out-detect us. This means the Z-46 has not run to the corner like he should to accept a free win. The NC is kind of running, and all he has to do really is stay behind that island at this point. It's 9:51, and I'm not using my radar. Again, we have a short-range radar. We can't just pop it as soon as we're spotted. We need to see if we can determine if the destroyer is within our radar range. Like if we step on a cap and he's in the cap for some reason that they already own. I'm being gifted a win here. We're still on low HP, but this Z-46 is potentially gifting us a win here. 7 kills, 266,000 damage. We're stalling out the B cap, and I have to kill this North Carolina in under 2 minutes. Either the enemy team is going to tick out on points, or the game is just going to end in 2 minutes 14 seconds. Using AP to start with, and the North Carolina is broadside enough that that's probably a decent choice. We're not going to really rely on fires. The other thing, you can see how saturated the North Carolina superstructure is. We're not going to get a ton of HE damage into his superstructure. We're relying on penning his hull. And we activated Halsey. So now we have a very fast reload. When I got the Confederate, I knew it was over. I had this game in the bag. Look at this reload. 30mm plating, we can bounce that. Assuming he hits it. He actually hit our stern, which is enough to do some pretty solid damage to us. We have no heals left, but NC has a long reload, and we have Halsey Confederate activated. So that's going to be an 8-kill win with 300k damage, and not quite a solo warrior. We were so close to having a solo warrior here, but still. Alone versus 3, caps not in our favor. Admittedly, we did get gifted a win, but a lot of people don't know how to play the late game. Most people don't know to just run away and accept a win. So there you have it. Potentially one of the best games I've ever played. Like I said in the Salem review, I think this ship is incredible. And it's not just because I had this great game. I think that in most matches, you're going to have a really good time in the Salem. My commander looks a little something like this. Halsey is very nice to have on a ship like Des Moines or Salem. Because of that Confederate proc, it's just unbelievable. And of course, getting the improved gun feeder, it's very, very nice to have. Also, turret traverse. These turrets aren't particularly fast if you don't have the turret traverse improvement. But this is what I'm running, and having Salem be a premium version of the Des Moines, it very easily allows you to get Halsey on this ship, even if you're running him on something else, like your Montana maybe, or a Gearing. You don't have to run him.
Well, I can't say I don't have a Gearing, I don't have a Montana. I've got some U.S. ships like the Missouri, Puerto Rico, Salem, Massachusetts, and even the DD, the Monahan. I like the Monahan because it's named after me. What can I say? Okay, so what we're going to do now is one thing I want to make a point of, and this is something that I've, just was part of my curriculum for today. Potato quality doesn't go on camera for whatever reason, doesn't matter. Maybe I'm not going to go into it, but nonetheless, guy speaks eloquently, very well. But I believe he's part of the 07 clan. And, they're a decent clan. They've been, very highly regarded for a few years now. And always did well in the King of the Seas tournament, which is known as KOTS, K-O-T-S. And there's another guy the other day where the first time with the Dalian, which was yesterday, I mentioned about like being like a used car salesman. And the good thing about being an average player like myself is I can throw jabs at these guys. Plus, I'm used to throwing jabs. But that's an uppercut. But anyways, in a different kind of way. So, this is Maltese Knight. Now, he's, from what I can understand, he's part of that 07 clan, too. And so he gets some high damage. And so that's why I'm showcasing guys like these. So that you, as a player, maybe you're just starting out, maybe you're a seasoned veteran, it doesn't matter. And you just got to leave your ego at the door, and this is a tough thing to do, but you need to do it. And there's a lot of reasons why that's important. Whether you can intrinsically it's an intrinsic factor that's beyond words of explanation. That's hard to explain, and it's really quantum in nature, which makes it harder to understand because everybody has to put a finger on stuff. But anyway, so Maltese Knight, he's going over one of the tier 10 premium Pan-Asian cruisers, not premium, tech tree. It's called the Jinan. He did the tier 9 Dalian yesterday, which we showcased, and we were hoping to get a battle against it, which didn't happen. So he did one on the Jinan, I think they call it, but it's the Pan-Asian cruiser. Did 283k damage. But here's the deal. The potato quality, which we just showcased with the Massachusetts and the Salem. Salem's one of my favorite cruisers. I'm a cruiser player by choice. I like cruisers. So we're going to showcase the Jinan now, showcased by Maltese Knight. But I just wanted to point out both these guys are from the 07 clan. I'm pretty sure Potato Quality is as well. And you can learn something by watching these. So any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section or the chat section while we're playing here today. And if you put it in the comment section, I may get to it at some point in the future, or I may not miss it. But chat for sure at any point today. So just enjoy. Any questions, just throw in chat. And remember, Bob's your uncle. Why is Bob your uncle? Because he is. And also remember, all roads lead to Putin. And you can ask me why I say that as well. And I'll give you a short version of it. Let's go to the show. Head into the show. Enjoy the show.
We have a Sejong one, not the Jinan one though.
Okay, calling it the Jinan. Jinan.
I couldn't play Brawls today, guys. I couldn't play Brawls today. At all. I waited 16 minutes in queue. And they didn't allow me to play the game.
16 minutes in queue? Is he serious? Holy crap. Is he being targeted? Those friggin' Russians, I'll tell you. Those Russians. Okay, back to the game.
I just wanted to play what's it called, man? Brawls. Tier 5. Fujin. The hull looks like Austin, but the guns, they're the same caliber, but they're actually different. Reloads quicker, the arcs are worse. Things like that. The gun range is worse. Cheek. Flint, you can compare it to Flint, honestly. Or Sejong. I played Sejong 40 times. Right? So we kind of know what we're doing. I would hope. Till we don't, you know? Then we just die. Tankiness wise, Austin and this are the same, by the way. Because they have the same hull armor, 32 sides and stuff. Like Sejong, I mean, we played that one, right? People know how it is, you know? And the outside armor, right? Hello? What the fuck? Well, the reload is a lot quicker, but we need to watch for that battleship shot. Because he overmatches 32, so we have to be really careful. The reload is a lot quicker than the other one. We need to stop. Turn right. He overmatches us, so we have to be careful here. Where's he gonna turn? Is he turning at all? I can't see smoke. What? He's moving in a straight line forward? I don't want to torpedo that. There's a Shiki. That's kind of what we want. But since there's no destroyer on the side, if Arkita spots the Shiki, we're gonna farm him down, so we're chilling.
Smoke generator started.
He blind shot? I actually get spotting for free? What? Instantly dies. Blind shot, god, dude. What about having only 4 guns and getting a citadel? Musashi moment. Sorry, Shikishima moment.
Smoke screen set.
No way, dude. Am I dead? Yo! He's killing me. Okay. He likes blind fire though. I don't like that because he might smash me. He also has hydro because he dodged every torp on purpose. Every single one of them. Is that good? Shikishima gets hydro, I guess. Interesting. Blind firing Shikishima with hydro. Okay. Write that down. He not only has hydro, but he has radar. Is that good? Now he gets torped by my teammate because he's not paying attention to his new hydro. Cool. Unless he moves forward full speed, I guess. TCP. Positiva. We'll go get the lion after this Shikishima. He just shot. I want like permafire on him. I don't really give a fuck about dying. Okay, got in. Let's go to the lion. Let's go kill him. Oh, our guy set a smoke for us. Oh no, I got spotted anyway. From that? Wow. My gun range is 0.5 kilometers more on this one than the Sejong. So, thanks, guy. To go dark? Alright, let's go get the lion. He's in mid. I got another fire perma. Wait, it's Lupin Remus! Guys, look, it's our turbo troll from chat. It's Lupin Remus. Of course. Of course, it's him. HE Minotaur? No, these guns are really small. It's like a Colbert with smoke, with worse guns and torps. Well, it's like a Flint at tier 10. Do I die to this line? Do I die to this line? Do I die to this line? Do I die? Do I die to this line? Do I die to this line? Do I die to this line? I don't.
Smoke generator started.
The shell travel time seems a lot quicker than the other one, the Sejong. Not a lot quicker, but it seems quicker. I don't know if it's actually a bit quicker, but it seems it. Don't know though. Because the shell arcs on that one are really slow. Maybe it's just the reload that makes it feel better here. Dude, these guys are dodging every torp in the game. How many hydros do they have, by the way? Wither? Holy shit. Austin? Because Austin doesn't have smoke. And when you don't have... This thing has, I think, overall better DPM than Austin. And it has better torps. Look how many fires are ticking on this cow! Hello? No! That was an arsonist, by the way. Paolo's the one capping. We can't push, by the way, because there's a Paolo Emilio. And we don't have Hydro, so we can't prevent it from killing us. So I have to sit like this for a bit. I want to go mid, but we're kind of prevented right now. I'm dark, actually. We can go towards mid right now. I thought the Paolo would be splitting me, but okay. I'm gonna twerp out here, maybe? Hopefully it comes out, but I don't think so. Spotted. Paulo's here. That's not good for me at all. There he is. He let me go dark. I'm gonna turn away because he's gonna try rush me with his torps. Uh-oh. We'll see. If I live. Right, I live. He's gonna try rush me with his torps, so I'm just gonna try walk away as much as possible here.
I need help.
Whenever he comes out of smoke, we have to kill him, or else we die. Actually, I can probably shoot. Oh no, what? Oh, smoke shooting. I'm really dumb. I'm very dumb. But wait, where's he going? Oh, wait, no, he's killing himself to my team, not me. Hello? Wait, he died. What? Wait, how low was he? What? Or did he get torped? I don't know.
Torpedoes astern.
Oh, there's his torps.
Starboard.
Can I sync up my guns so they're not like broken? If he loads 8p, I instantly die, by the way, so I don't want to risk me dying here. We're still losing this game. DCP insta. HE. Perma. Holy damage, how much he does. Is anyone spotting it? No. The Satsuma is pushing up, so that's gonna be good later on. 10 seconds I go dark. I don't think he reloads in 10 seconds. I shot someone else. Holy poggers. Let's go for the Satsuma.
Problem solved, sir.
Taiwanese flag? Yeah. Is that good? Pretty good. Let's go get that thing. The big thing. The big thing. Look at it. Oh my god. So excited. We're in range. We're in range, boys. In melee range. Oh. Uh-oh. We might just die. We might die. We might die. We might die. One sit kills me. 2 pens kills me. Napoli torps are probably coming. I have to be careful of those as well. Can I get fires? We're gaming? Pray, guys, pray right now. We need a prayer right now. It's not working. It's not working. We need a prayer. We need divine intervention right now. Thank you. Oh my! Not good, not good, not good. I got blind fired. I'm dead. Seconds for me to kill this guy. I don't kill him in 10 seconds. That's the sad part. We're gonna lose this game. Unlucky. Wait. 2 seconds to kill him. 2 seconds to kill him. Come on. Go before I die, please. 1. Please. 2. Yes.
Enemy cruiser. Our team has taken the lead.
Hey, that was funny. That was actually pretty cool. That was a tense moment, boys. That was a tense moment.
200k, so no refund? True. Does that mean I don't owe Onyx my life savings? Yes! Yes! I can live a life. I don't owe this man $1 million. I did it. Are you proud of me, Anaronix? Are you proud? I didn't.
Smoke generator started.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He hit. Uh-oh, he went dark. Uh-oh.
Smoke screen set.
Dude, look at this hydro he has, man. He has hydro and radar like the other guy? What the fuck? Why does everyone get hydro and radar nowadays? What?
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
Battle ends in 5 minutes? I think we're gonna win. Guys, we're gonna win the game. We're gonna do it. We're gonna win a World of Warships match. Me. I want the kill. No! All I wanted was a kill in life. Me! Yes!
Enemy battleship foundered.
Alright, so for personal score, we got 283,000 damage, 800 shell hits, 2 torp hits, pretty good torp hit ratio, I think. We'll look at that later. 3 kills, 18 fires, pretty good. Witherer, First Blood, High Caliber, and it's just a flesh wound right there at the end. Personal score, team score. We have... This was my first game in Jinan, by the way. And 2.8k base XP. That's pretty good, I think, for a win. We did actually win the game. It was looking a bit difficult, but I guess we actually ended up winning the game. For detailed report, we got 76k on the Satsuma, free damage, 46k on the Napoli, 12k on the Groningen at the start, Shikishima, 80k on him, 70k on the Lion, and then the Paolo. I don't even know when I hit the Paolo, to be honest. But yeah, and then so we got most of the damage, as you can see, is from HE and fire damage. Holy fire damage! Whoa, 115,000 fire damage. 115,000 fire damage, guys. 145 thousand from shell hits, and then 2 from torps. I launched 70 torps and hit 2, by the way. Am I good at torping or no? But anyway, damage received. We received almost 60,000 damage, but we died, sadly. And 1.3 million potential. These are, you know, extra whatever information. We kind of just sat on one flank and did that. Credits and XP, we got 634,000, and then 14,000 XP, 3,000 commander XP, and 17,000. Oh, sorry, that's free XP, and then 17,000 commander XP. But yeah, that's Jinan. I'll show you the build, and the build is here. So I'm using Darong as my captain. Darong, yes, I get it, Darong captain, but he is the right captain right now. And we have Last Stand, priority target.
Wise guy, eh? Da wrong, eh? Wise guy. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Demolition expert, superintendent, survivability expert, adrenaline rush, heavy HE and SAP shells, that's pretty good. And then concealment expert. You could possibly run a torpedo build if you so wish, but I prefer the gun build because I think guns gives you consistent damage, as you saw, at least for me, because I can't really land torps consistently. And the reload feels pretty good on the torps anyway. And for my upgrades, I'm using main battery mod 3 for reload mod. I'm using concealment system mod 1. I'm using prop mod 1. Torpedo tubes mod 1. Engine room protection and main armaments mod 1. Alternatives, you can probably run range mod if you so wish, but I couldn't hit anything at range with range mod. You could also run the torpedo reload, but really I haven't been using it. And you can also run this one, I guess, but I don't think you need this one. I think this one's much better. There you go. And that's pretty much the Jinan. There you go. I will be making a video like asked on the tier 7 premium ships because you guys have been asking. But this is the Jinan. Hope you enjoyed. What do I think about this ship? Well, I have actually played this ship a bit more before this because they give us ships for testing a bit early. And well, I played the Sejong like 40 times, and I pretty much think this is the same thing. Well, if people are pushing into you, this thing is really strong, but if people are running away from you, it's probably going to be really bad. So that's pretty much it, really. If people run away from this thing, it's really bad. But if people push into it, it's really strong. So that's pretty much it. But if you like light cruisers, you know.
If they come at you, slug them with all barrels. But if they're on the run, look for other targets. Hey, it doesn't get much simpler than that, does it? Not in the least bit, folks. Not in the least bit. So, what are we going to do now? Let's look at, I just want to look at the Napoli here. And this is in ranked battles. And this is from a raging Canadian. So, is he any good? I don't know. A raging Canadian. What gimmick does he have to make that claim? You let me know in chat and just enjoy. It's friggin' Sunday morning, live with Michael J.
Greetings and welcome to a World of Warships game. This time, though, a little bit different. Very rarely I have other games on featured from other people in my friends group or clan because they get something hilariously ridiculous and they decide, hey, it didn't get on the jingles, so we'll go for the lowest common denominator and pitch it to the wannabe celebrity in the clan. This is a game from a member called I'm Sorry K, and from what he posted, it's going to be a bit of a train wreck from beginning to end. I'm not going to spoil anything because he did give away a couple of the high moments, but for the most part, I am going into this just as blind as you are. All I'm aware of is that he's stuck with a bunch of morons on his team, and it's a ranked game, so you already know things are going to be just lovely, just the highest quality of players. So immediately it seems like he's going to the north at sea. The way his team is deploying, I can only describe as random players but in ranked. We have the DDs fumbling around in one grid square for a few minutes, probably attempting to touch tips before they sail off to wherever it is they plan on dying first. The Schlieffen, the Salem, and the Montana all decide that Alright, well, you know what? I take it back. I guess the Yu Yang just doesn't want to play the game. Not only is he sailing straight down the middle, but he, I guess, used a tactical smokescreen to protect the rest of his team from carrier or submarine spotting? I don't know. Maybe he just fat-fingered it, but regardless, that is pretty excellent. Now, someone might use the argument that he was smoking into the cap. And that argument would be fine, assuming he started the smoke earlier, or I guess later, and actually used the majority of it to sit in the cap. By popping it super early, you're basically announcing to everyone on the enemy team, here I am, come get me. And it appears that the Yu Yang has eaten a torpedo. Delightful, absolutely wonderful, and followed up by a monstrous salvo against the Hindenburg. How in the name of God he managed to get that, I have no idea. The Napoli's AP is not particularly amazing, so the fact that he got a double Citadel on a German cruiser is kind of amazing. That thing has a turtleback for those who don't know. It makes it almost impossible for cruisers to Citadel him unless they get the God angle and manage to get perfect normalization into his side. The Vampire 2 shows up, dodging torpedoes because of course, and another really good salvo against the Vampire 2. That was 6 out of 9 shells. God damn, K, you are rolling hot at the beginning of this game. Few blind fire shells out, predicting where the vampire is going to go, and of course, because this is World of Warships, he pops back up immediately after he fires his guns. Aren't spotting mechanics just lovely? But the Vampire 2, at the very least, has taken more of a shit-kicking than the Yu Yang. Yang did. Okay, well, maybe not, but at the very least, the Vampire 2 traded really badly, considering that the Yu Yang derped into a torpedo immediately. And while I didn't call it out, because I was too focused on Sorry K slapping the shit out of everyone, oh no, the Marceau has gone and killed himself. How lovely, as the Shimakaze comes to give K a love tap. How you kill yourself to a Holland in a Marceau is beyond comprehension to me, because from the best of my knowledge, the Marceau is capable of 1v1 shit-kicking virtually anyone it comes up against. Which means, as far as I know, either there was a mysterious, like, 8th ship over there that the Marceau wasn't aware of that ghosted out of the corner of the map and ate his ass, or he derped into a million Holland torpedoes and got himself annihilated. Which is what actually happened, because if you look at the chat logs, there was a devastating strike. So good job, Marceau. Fastest ship in the game apparently doesn't know how to turn. Getting into a fight here with the Goliath, by the way, is one of the few things that the Napoli is really, really good at. Why? Because it's kind of got battlecruiser armor. It's incredibly difficult to damage, and while the Z-52 is memeing on him, you'll notice that the Goliath is pretty much incapable of doing damage with AP, even though the Napoli is at a fairly shallow angle. That's because it just can't. The Napoli's armor is really good, and getting into this kind of situation is just the perfect location to play this ship. You're very resistant to damage, there's no one that's got your broadside, there's a destroyer that you're busily pummeling the shit out of with your semi-armor piercing secondaries, and the only person shooting at you is apparently so much of a potato that he's in a Goliath not firing high explosive. Although it appears that he's finally managed to rectify that incredible mistake. The heel as well is pretty beefy on the Napoli. It's not like a lot of other aggressive cruisers that I've seen that are usually balanced out by having pretty shit heels so that they can't just infini-YOLO. Here though, I don't particularly know what the plan here is. From what Sorry K said, he's kinda stuck here. He didn't really make the best decision in order to disengage, but we'll see how it goes, because supposedly he manages to get one hell of a YOLO off on these guys. And yet again, unfortunately there, pulling a broadside turn, not entirely sure whether or not that was the correct decision. You might wanted to have popped the smoke before you began the turn so that you didn't allow the Goliath to get a 9k salvo into you. But it appears that the Goliath, completely unaware that Sorry K and the Napoli is still here, I mean, he used his smoke and he disappeared, so I guess that means he's not in the game anymore, has decided to oh so bravely rush forward. The Goliath has torpedoes, this is true, but it's nowhere near as maneuverable as the Napoli is, and he's still firing AP, with the other issue that the Napoli is, well, an Italian cruiser. It is hilariously beefy, and ridiculously good at, well, doing that. You'll notice that despite the fact a bajillion torpedoes was fired at him from point-blank range, he manages to successfully dodge all but 2 of the torpedoes from less than 3 kilometers, being brought down to 200 health. Holy shit. Not even close. 200 hit points more than he technically needs, picking up not only a close quarters expert and a high caliber, but also the double strike, as the stupid Goliath derps directly into a bunch of AP shells followed by torps. And the enemy destroyer, feeling that it's a wonderful idea to smoke up directly in hard spot, gets annihilated by the semi-armor piercing secondaries. So that was a bit of a nail biter, and luckily for Sorry K, he had a heal ready to go, so it puts him up above the insta-die health threshold if anyone so much as breathes in his general direction. And I think this is probably the correct decision here. Just chill out inside the smog for a little bit, give yourself a second to recuperate, get your damage con back up, make sure you can look at the map, figure out where everything is, you know, kind of take your time to parse out what's happening. Unfortunately, despite the fact that Sorry K has basically single-handedly won this flank for his team against 2 people, almost killing himself in the process, I might add, excellent drama to the video, his team is just throwing as hard as they possibly can. The Schlieffen that sailed directly into the middle of the map in arguably the worst early aggressive battleship in the game, and I'm going to defend that opinion, by the way, just fucking kills himself. And the Salem honestly, I genuinely don't understand how a Salem, like, dies instantly when he's not even the one pushing. I'm pretty sure what happened is he got slapped by the Incomparable and then immediately murdered by Holland torpedoes. 12,000 damage into the Hindenburg, flat broadside, and he can't even manage to do more than 2k back. Absolutely amazing. Good job, Derpenberg, when suddenly Schlieffen shells come in and, oh, it's fine, it's a Schlieffen. He'd be lucky to hit 2 shells in general, much less actually killing him. Of course, the return fire, not particularly effective, but honestly, I doubt the Schlieffen would really be capable of killing Sorry K at this point. It's just too far away for its guns to be effective. Like I mentioned earlier though, why is the Schlieffen the worst early aggressive battleship in the game? Because unlike regular German battleships, his armor is dog shit. And when you're getting focused by something like the Incomparable, multiple destroyers, and, you know, potentially HE-DPM cruisers, you melt to death instantly. So, you know, he just kill himself. It's a wonderful ship for being aggressive, but it's really, really bad if you try to YOLO or push in at the beginning of the game. So, luckily, their team has managed to kill the Incomparable, which is the biggest threat left for the Napoli because it's one of the only battleships that can reasonably consistently shit on a ship like this. Its guns are so accurate and so big that it doesn't really matter. When suddenly, disaster, the Vampire 2 shows up around the corner of it. Oh, why am I even bother dramatizing it? He's a Napoli, and this guy shows up right around the corner. Not only does he immediately throw himself to his death against the semi-armor piercing secondaries like only the best of potatoes, but he doesn't even fire his guns to reset the cap, allowing Sorry K to pick up a solo cap as well as his 4th kill and third close quarters expert badge. Shame. Endless shame upon you, enemy team. Giving anyone more than a single close quarters expert badge is a shame. At the very least, if you're going to be 3 kilometers away from someone, ram them or trade with them. The fact that 3 people could not manage to do that, technically 4, I guess, because one of them was killed with his torpedoes. Why are you even playing the game? Realistically, he should probably have, you know, 4 secondary close quarters experts, but whatever. The Schlieffen decides he's going to take an attempt at the C-cap as well. This man, I have no words for this. I assume he's trying to push into the Napoli, which I guess is okay, but there's something we need to remember. The Napoli has a fuel smoke. It's a cruiser. It's significantly stealthier than the Schlieffen is. Well, actually, I don't think in the case of the Napoli that's particularly true. But it's more maneuverable, it's very well armed, and the Schlieffen's guns are pretty dog shit. So realistically, I wouldn't expect the Schlieffen to really be able to do much. He chugs a torpedo, despite having a hydro on his ship, loses a torp tube because exposed and Lamau, and Sorry K is just going to accelerate way behind the island. Realistically, I don't think there's much that the Schlieffen could do. Yeah, the shells get blocked by the island because he doesn't aim properly, and that's pretty much it. Sorry K manages to just waltz around the island, which is, I guess, pretty hilarious. Maybe on benefit of the doubt, the Schlieffen just didn't have hydro up. Maybe he just didn't see the torps coming, which is fair. But what would he have used it against? He was basically sailing on the beeline. What was he hydroing? Schools of fish? Was he trying to find a submarine? What is the entire point of using a hydro randomly out in the middle of nowhere if you're not A, spotted, or B, being chased by a destroyer? And you would think if you're pushing into a cap against a torpedo cruiser with 4 kills, who's proven to be competent, and 2 destroyers, you'd think maybe, perhaps, you'd want to save your hydro. And there it is, it goes up. Which confirms my suspicion, by the way. What I was thinking is that this Schlieffen, in fact, did have his hydro on cooldown, or off cooldown, whatever, but he did the hilarious meme-worthy random battle thing of, oh god, I've seen the torpedoes, use the hydro for no reason. So after he got slapped in the nose by it, then he turns the hydro on. Which is pretty fantastic, I might add. It's one of my favorite things to see. Now, in this scenario, I do think you could probably be significantly more aggressive with the Napoli. You could probably push directly around and into the Schlieffen, or just outright take a fight with him, reverse around the island angled, torpedo him at point-blank range. You have excellent armor, and you're an Italian cruiser. You're very maneuverable. So you can abuse the fact that his guns are pretty terrible, and even though you're like 5 kilometers away, you can probably trade about as well with his secondaries as he can with yours. So realistically, you could probably have just gone to go kill him, and that most likely would have resulted in you guys at least having a better chance to win the game. Because despite the absolutely heroic efforts of Sari K so far to basically clean up fucking like over half the enemy team by himself, his team just threw so hard. These people should be professional baseball players. Be the pitcher, because holy goddamn, can you guys yeet games farther than anyone I've ever seen. The best part, though, is according to Sari K, and I haven't been paying attention much to the chat, his team have been lambasting him the majority of the game, or will near the end, for being a worthless camper that didn't do enough to contribute to the game. And while I do kind of agree that you should have been a little more aggressive here, like, come on. How hard are you honestly expected to carry? This is unbelievable. The Schlieffen, in classic fashion, even though he's got his hydro up, is chugging torpedoes, so lovely. And in classic hydro fashion, even though he knows that Sari K is here, his guns are neither turned in the correct direction, nor is he angling towards him. Delightful. You'd think after eating 2 torpedoes, you'd just say, okay, fine, fuck it, I'm just not going to pick a fight with this guy, or I'm going to choose to angle against him, the damage has been done. But no. And of course, because there is no justice in the world, the Shimakaze, this absolute assbag, decides that he's going to steal the Kraken from I'm Sorry K. Don't give him a well done. That was your deserved Kraken. You did the majority of the delay against this guy while he derped around in the cap, and you contributed pretty much everything to this flank of the map. There's no reason to go, well done, to a destroyer that YOLOs a kill at like 2,000 health, not even. Realistically though, unfortunately, since I know the outcome of this game, things are a bit of a disaster. This Yu Yang, which absolutely delightfully stupid, is just derping around. I guess to add insult to injury, he's going to hoover up a little more points from the final cap. This game is classically depressing. This kind of makes my soul hurt. My bones ache a little bit, because this is what I imagine most games in Ranked are, and what my experience of Ranked has been in general. My entire team is functionally worthless. Both teams are functionally worthless, and it's up to 1 or 2 competent players on both teams to try to carry the entire thing. And unfortunately, it doesn't come down to who's better. Just like in randoms, it comes down to who's worth. Worse. God, Canadian, your dyslexia is smashing you full force today, huh? You can see as well the Yu Yang there being rather salty in chat. Doesn't matter, still lose. Not gonna congratulate Sari for getting 4 kills when suddenly the Holland pops up. There is a chance that... No, never mind. The Shimakaze immediately murders himself on the Holland. The game is over. Kindly, though, K was wise enough, or I guess egotistical enough, to snap a screenshot of his post-battle results screen, so we get to look at that as well. Over 1 million credits, 1.13 million credits, 9,600 experience, 3,000 base XP, the coveted Double Strike Award, which is quite rare, 3 close quarters experts against arguably the dumbest destroyer and cruiser I have ever seen in my life, a Dreadnought, because...
Oh my, Howard Cosell, you better move over, buddy. Here comes the raging Canadian.
172,000 damage in a ranked game, which is a goddamn achievement.
Not bad.
Torpedo hits because Hydro Battleships Lamau, 4 kills, a couple meme fires, floods, a bunch of citadels, and of course a solo cap and an assisted in cap with a boatload of secondary hits. This was quite the performance. I hope you enjoyed it. If you
Well, there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed that as well. So listen, I was hoping to do some battle play, but my landlord here got to do some things, so I'm gonna have to. This is my normal time to cut out, anyways. But I was hoping to go a bit longer today and play some games, especially some of the super ships. But just don't have the time, and the unexpected showing up of my landlord tends to put a damper on things, unfortunately. But it's just the way it is. Not much we can do. Not a big deal. Life is what it is. It shows some quirky twists and turns to its path at times, but no big deal. So listen, thanks for watching. Everybody stay safe. Remember, your health is priceless. Love and peace. Michael J. over and out. Take care. Be good.